Gold has gone over 3,000 Australian dollars per ounce for the first time in history. It's making new highs in other currencies as well, and of course it's going up in USD value as well. Let's take a look at the price of gold, silver, and platinum and talk about the potential up targets and down targets before and maybe after the FOMC meeting, which is coming up tomorrow. This is, of course, brought to you by Ainslie Bullion and the Gold and Silver Standard, and my name's Joe. You're looking at gold here on the monthly time frame. It's in Australian dollars at the moment. We'll get to USD in just a sec. It's priced, as I said, in Aussie dollars, and we're using the tradingview.com website. So last week we had been speaking about this symmetrical triangle pattern. 1, 2 was third time going to be a charm. I had suggested that, the move would happen eventually. I said it's going to happen, probably no later than the end of this year. And of course, with SVB and the banking crisis, it's just really propelled it up. Look at this from the start of this month. We're talking, this is in Australian dollars, just again, bear in mind. But the start of March to right now hitting 3,000, that's 10% this month. That's pretty darn good. So what you've seen here is a top out on the Australian dollar market at over $3,005 on this particular exchange, the Forex exchange right there, the Forex index. And it came right up to, so far, to the psychological value of 3,000, which I thought it would hit. Let's pop on the daily. And as you can see very clearly, at least on the daily time frame, it was an area of resistance. Take a look at the relative strength index. We are in, and we've spent a little bit of time now since the, where are we? Oh, on the daily time frame, since the 9th of March. So a little bit of time was spent already in overbought territory. We've also hit a psychological value of $3,000. I'm definitely not saying we're heading down from here, but just bear in mind we are in overbought territory because that's what happens. You go from oversold to overbought. You spend some time and then you head back down eventually. But definitely not saying it's heading down from here because we don't know what's happening with the FOMC meeting. So for example, if say for example, the FOMC meeting, they raise prices by maybe just a mere 25 basis points, or even if they pause, or if they do a raise of 25 basis points, but then hint at a pause for the next meeting, I think you're going to see some explosive moves. So we don't exactly know what's going to happen. But what tends to happen from a technical analysis point of view, again, this is on the Australian dollar price, after you break out of a key level, and I would call this, a very key pattern, the ascending triangle pattern, right there, not symmetrical, ascending triangle pattern. After you break out, you tend to visit it again at some point. Doesn't always happen. It's not a hard and fast rule, but you do tend to. So just bear that in mind. Will we have a little dip back to, say, 2,875 Australian dollars before going on our merry way? Quite possibly. Again, really depends on what the FOMC meeting is going to do and what Jerome Powell comes out with. The rumor at the moment, and they're just rumors, that it is going to be 25 basis points, but again, that's just rumors. But just do keep that in mind. Oversold, definitely overbought, on the daily time frame, and hit that key psychological value of $3,000. And popping on the weekly, we started out the week green as of yesterday, right there. So possibly a move down to here. You never know. Could be a very quick wick down. Again, it just depends on what the FOMC is going, what the results of the FOMC meeting is going to be. So I'll leave it at that. I'm going to show you, as I drew in last time. Again, you had that psychological value of 3,000, and then you had this key Fibonacci level of $3,300 from this high and this low. You can see where it intersects right there from that high and that low, around about 3,300. So I think that would be the next key target on the Australian dollar index. Okay, so just bear that in mind. And breaking down, if we do break down through the ascending triangle again, I would suggest the next little level of support is going to be somewhere right between here and here. I'll show you. Between there and there would be your little range of support. So anywhere from there into this purple box would be a range of support. Obviously you want it to hold this uptrend line as part of this ascending triangle. Whether we're going there, I don't know. Let's see what happens with the FOMC meeting. That's gold on Australian dollars. Let's take a look at it on the US dollar price because it is the world's reserve currency. You can see a very clear break up through this last triangle, rectangle, I should say, rectangle range that I had drawn in. So you can see it has topped out on this particular index right here at over $2,000, so 2009 US dollars. We've opened red so far for the week, but it is only Tuesday in Australian time, so we've got a lot more of the week to come, including the FOMC meeting. So again, won't say definitely where I think it's going to go because I don't know because of the FOMC up in the airness. But if it is bearish kind of news for gold, or if there's a bit of a sell-off, I would suggest that the most natural support level is going to be around about the top of this rectangle right here, around about your 1900 US dollar mark. So that would be my clear level of support. I'll pop that in right here. Horizontal line, clear level of support around about 1900. It's give or take. Let's just pop it around about there. That is it for me. So I would find it around about here and maybe all the way down to the bottom of this rectangular box right there. And that's going into around about $1,880 to $1,900. That's my level of support that I think you would find gold would go down to and find support at between $1,880 and $1,900. If we go great guns from here, if it's a very bullish FOMC meeting for gold, then what you would see here, I think obviously you're going to have a possible little test here at 2070, the old all-time high. Third time's probably going to be a charm though. It probably won't be much resistance, and I would think you would see it break through. So the next level of resistance is going to be this long-term uptrend line right here. No, I don't want to copy that price. I want to move that. So let's just take a quick look. This is again gold on the US dollar time frame. This is going through the old high in August of 2011 and then the second higher high in August of 2020. So you can see that intersecting right there, going through those two highs. So it's going to be around about your $2,120 mark. So it's around about this area here, 2120, 2130. If we have a very positive for gold, that is FOMC meeting result. What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be a slight raise in interest rates, a pause this time, or a raise and a hint at a pause? Or do you think there are actually some people who are calling for, like Elon Musk actually did just today. He said the Fed needs to cut by at least 50 basis points, by 0.5% at the next meeting. So he made that big call. That's what he thinks needs to happen. But personally, I don't think a 0.5% cut is going to happen at this meeting. I think Jerome Powell probably has to keep up what he said he was going to do and save a little bit of face and probably a very small interest rate increase. That's my personal opinion, not the opinion of Ainslie Bullion, of course. But if we do pump, that's going to be an area of resistance around about your $2,120, $2,130 range up against this uptrend line. And breaking up from there, look, if for some reason it just absolutely completely pumps in the next week, this is on the weekly time frame, so we're not going to have a huge one. But just bear in mind, up here is the next major target. That's $2,400 US dollars. And after you break through, as I've spoke about before, after you break through a major trend line, you do come back to revisit it at some point. But let's just keep in the back of our minds for the moment, 2,120 to 2,130 US dollars if we pump from there. So I've given you my up target and my support levels as well. That is gold. Let's take a look at poor silver. Silver has just been lagging a little bit. It has gone up a little bit in the last week or so, but it just lags behind. If we take a look at the gold to silver ratio, it is actually down a little bit from a week or two ago. It topped out at 91.7. So we are in a downwards movement. That means silver is starting to outperform gold right there. So when the number is going up, gold is outperforming silver. When the number is going down, silver is outperforming gold. So we are seeing silver outperform gold, at least in the last week or so. So that's positive for silver. Let's take a look, but it has yet to, and it probably gives it room to move, it is yet to break out of this symmetrical triangle pattern. I've said before, you never go to the full apex, the full corner, so it's going to make its decision really soon. And I would suggest that if we come up to this level here, 1, 2, I don't really call that a second test. So 1, 2, 3 times, probably fourth time is a charm. So whether that does that soon or has a bit of a dip remains to be seen. Not going to give a call on that, just depends on what is going to happen with the FOMC meeting. Again, post your comments below. Let me know what you think is going to happen at the next meeting, just happening today, tomorrow, in the next number of hours, less than 24 hours, I believe. But if we do pump from here, in terms of the precious metals, that's going to be the very clear level of resistance that we would need to break through. If we just do sail through there, the next big level of resistance for me is right here, of course, at the very, very famous $26 level. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just quickly show you. If you're new to the precious metals, welcome. Hopefully you're purchasing from Ainslie Bullion. Hopefully you're finding our informational videos very informational. But $26 right here was such a key level for a very long time. It was a very large level of support all the way up to the peak in 2011. Then you had 1, 2, 3. We never thought it was, back then we didn't think, oh, that 26 is never going to break 26 again, it's never going to break down, and then it did. So then it was a 1, 2, 3, 4 really kind of failed attempts to break and hold the $26 level. You can see there, failed move, fast move, failed move, fast move down, failed move to hold 26, fast move down, didn't even really break it right there, fast move down. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe fifth time's the charm. So bear in mind, $26, big level of resistance in my humble opinion. If we sail through 26 because of very positive FOMC, positive for precious metals, then the next level of resistance is going to be around about here at your $30 mark. But let's just see what happens in the next 24 hours with the FOMC meeting. And breaking down, back to the daily. Breaking down, bear in mind in the relative strength index on the daily time frame for silver in US dollars, we have not gone into overbought territory just yet. So again, there is a little bit of room to move down, but the next the level of support I would be looking at, the first level of support will be right here at the top of this rectangular purple box right there at around about $21.80. That would be the first level of support right there. And then back here where I've got this horizontal line, definite line in the sand for me right there at $21.30 US cents. So here, 21.80 roughly, and 21.34 levels of support if FOMC is not bullish for the precious metals. Let's see what happens tomorrow with the FOMC meeting. Again, post your comment below, and let's take a quick look at platinum as well, XPT/USD. We've had a couple of attempts to break the psychological barrier of $1,000. 2 failed attempts so far. That was a failed attempt. Oftentimes from a failed move comes a fast move in the opposite direction, back down to $960 roughly. A second failed attempt so far. On the daily, it's looking red, but I would have this level here at 970 as the level of support right there. You wouldn't want to see it break too much further down from there. I would suggest maybe no less than the $960 level right there. We can also draw in this quick little trend line right here on the daily time frame. So maybe that trend line is probably a good indicator. So you would suggest, yeah, 970, 960 around about there. So forget that 970. I'm going to say right there at 960 is your line in the sand. You don't want it to see breaking down below there, because if we do, we're headed down to the next level, which would be around about 940 US dollars. Breaking up if the FOMC meeting is good and gold and silver goes crazy, and then platinum follows. Then 1,000 you want to break, probably third time will be a charm. And then again, if you're watching this for the first time, I'll quickly show you the long-term downtrend line from February 2008. You want to see it break above, hold, come back as support, bounce off and hold that. So very quickly, On the monthly time frame, if you have not seen this before, the long-term downtrend line, this is on the logarithmic scale. Do your research into what logarithmic versus linear scales are, so just bear that in mind as well. So February 2008, long downtrend line, long-term downtrend line, failed move to hold, failed move to break out and hold, failed move to break out and hold. So that's the big one right there. It needs to break, come back as support, and then hold it as well, particularly on the monthly time frame. So those are my levels, moving higher and lower for gold, silver, and platinum. Gold in both Australian dollars and US dollars. If you want to stay updated as to what's going on with the precious metals prices, you've got to hit the big red subscribe button on YouTube. Join us here, 2,700 subscribers now, doing great guns. So join us, and you'll get another technical analysis next Tuesday. What I want you to do is like, share, and subscribe. As always, balance your wealth in an unbalanced world. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon.